Let's win the day. And a great way to do that is bringing in the fabulous Ryan Leslie from Sportsnet Flames. Let's do it. What's up, buddy?
Roddy, and that Sudeikis, if I'm saying that right, that's a great pull. Great hair, by the way. He has got some flow over there.
Thanks, pal.
Small sick envy. Flow.
Thank you.
Right, and bought and paid for over here. Ryan, how's the...
I remember those days. Anyway.
That's right. How's the summer going out there in southern Alberta and the foothills?
Pretty good. I think everybody's starting to, kind of turn an eye towards the upcoming season. There's still a lot of questions, but it's been a good summer. The smoke is cleared for now, and we hope everybody, all of our friends in BC and Alberta are done with that. So it was a bit tricky, Roddy, to be honest with you. It was a hot, dry summer here in southern Alberta, and the fires in BC and parts of Alberta didn't help. But hopefully that is, going to be behind us here as we turn an eye to flipping seasons and maybe even talking some hockey here soon.
Well, and I'm going to get to the Flames on the ice in a moment. But and by the way, notice the jersey that we have adorning our desk, and that'll be staying there for quite some time. Biggest news out of Calgary, I feel, was the vaccination proof that's going to be required to go to Flames and Stamps games, and I would assume Hitman and Roughnecks. I have no problem with that. I'm totally in favor of that. I applaud Winnipeg for doing it, and now everybody's following suit. What was the reaction from the fans?
Well, as you know, if you want negative reaction, you go to social media. If you want to have maybe and I don't know what kind of percentage that is in terms of the big picture. I don't imagine it's huge, but certainly there's a conversation going online about it, good, bad, and ugly. But it was one that the Calgary Flames felt they had to do, and one that they are entitled to do. And, I think there's a lot of backlash, but it is their product. It is their building. It is something that they have the right to do. So I think the reaction is probably positive in the bigger picture, but I think if you want to find any sort of backlash, you can find it.
Well, on the hockey, on the ice, on Monday, the NHL announced its preseason schedule. That was probably a nice feeling for you. Are you starting to feel it a little bit?
Yeah, we're still waiting to find out how it's going to look, Roddy. I don't know at this point, to be completely transparent with you, what it's going to look like from a broadcast standpoint. I don't know how much travel will there be. What will travel look like? Will it be commercial? Will it be charter? Will it be a mix of these remotes like we did last year? So there's still a lot up in the air as we start to ramp up towards it. But there's time, and there's a lot of faith in the powers that be, and from the league to Sportsnet, where I work, to the Flames organization, that there will be a solution that's best for the viewers, the fans, and certainly us as broadcasters. So I'm personally really hopeful that we return to normal travel. We will see how it unfolds, and we'll deal with the hand we're dealt.
So one of the viewers wrote in, the general in Calgary says, why hasn't Gaudreau been signed yet? But I'm looking at the Flames list of free agents, and I don't see him on it. Is it expected that Johnny Hockey's going to sign a new deal, or what's the status there of him?
There have been ongoing conversations about Johnny Gaudreau, who has another year left on his contract. He is about to get married September 4th, but that dialogue continues between Brad Treliving and Louis Gross, his agent. And certainly, I think everything's on the table. Anybody who tells you right now, Rod, that there is one direction or another doesn't know. They may feel that Johnny's gone, or Johnny's re-signing, or we're going to play this thing out, or perhaps a deadline deal or a move in season. That's simply not the case at this point. Everything is still on the table. And I would like to see this player. If the value in a trade is not there, I would love to see this player re-sign here. He is a player that's going to get you into the postseason. You still need that the last time I checked. This is a player who has offensive capabilities. This is a player who enjoys being in Calgary. And this is a player who can help get you there. And I think that's essential. So however this thing shakes down remains to be seen. But this is a very valuable asset for Brad Treliving.
Oh, no doubt. And by the way, I had mentioned, believe it or not, a few weeks ago on this show that I didn't think the Flames had done enough this offseason, and I just got roasted by Flames fans. And they said, we signed Blake Coleman. We signed Tucker Pullman, the Fox News host. That's not a lot to me. How do you feel about their offseason?
It's not a lot, but you've got to remember, it takes two to tango, and you've got to be able to. It's real easy to go out and make a move if you're okay with not caring about the return. But Brad's hands are really tied at this point. There's got to be a market for the players that everybody thinks should just be moved or brought in, and it's really hard right now. So it's also not expired. He's still got some time to pull this thing off, and so. What kind of move? I think everybody knows that the Eichel situation, the Eichel conversation, people are hungry here. Treliving understands that. I think the fan base understands more needs to happen. I think the players themselves know that more needs to happen. There is time. We're still here in August at this point, late in August. But you've also got some pieces brought in. You've got some players who are about to take a next step. I'm not going to sit here and defend what has or what hasn't been done or be an apologist or a super fan. I will just tell you that there's time. This is a good core. And I think I understand the appetite for wanting to bolster the lineup a little more. And I don't think anybody is wrong in thinking, what else is there? And I think Treliving continues to grind away, continues to day-to-day look to bolster the lineup. But you got to think about the market and who wants what and what they're willing to give you in return. You've got to kind of step back a little bit and go, it's just not that easy.
Yeah, well, I watch all of the Flames games and I watch you guys panels specifically for you, Ryan. But I've some of the commentary's been scathing, not from you, but Eric Francis. I get the sense that everybody feels something's missing, right? So I just wonder how that will be addressed. But some questions from our viewers, if you don't mind, from Ryan on YouTube. Rod, what's Ryan's take on the Calgary Sports Entertainment Group without the Stampeders? Does that rate on your radar at all, Ryan, the potential sale of the Calgary Stampeders from that ownership conglomerate?
Apologies, but it's not. And I don't mean that to be negative. I just mean I don't think I can properly dig into all of the challenges of owning a CFL team and all of the factors that go into the Stampeders and what that can do for the entire organization. I know the Flames have been, wildly committed to the Calgary Stampeders and their success on and off the field. So I do know that much. What it looks like going forward, I can't say in terms of whether or not it'll sell, whether or not they're going to get rid of it, if they're potential buyers. I'm simply not in that circle enough. So apologies to the viewer with that question, which is a good question, just probably suited better for someone else.
Yep, absolutely. Nicely handled, by the way. From Ryan McCarthy in Saratoga, New York. From one Ryan to another, if the Flames can't sign Johnny Gaudreau, could the New Jersey Devils be a potential trade partner? Gaudreau was born and raised in New Jersey. Are these things coming up? Is there talk of that?
I think that's always the go-to, right? Hey, why don't you just have a conference call with the Devils, the Rangers, and the Flyers, and just see who gives you the most. Let's just see if we're having an open auction. That's simply not the case. John's put his list of 5 teams forward. Anything's possible, but there's got to be some teams who in that area who would sit there and I don't know, maybe naively think, well, if he doesn't re-sign, we might just get him anyhow. So why make a move when he could potentially sign here as a free agent down the road? That's maybe a gamble they're willing to take. But as the player, he wants to probably have some security. So is that an option? Certainly. Is that probable? I don't know if I'd say probable. I'd have to dig into, where the Devils are right now. I'd have to look at, what would either be coming back via the trade route. But certainly as a free agent, you never know. John's going to have to look at his future as well, and I know he is. I also know he's happy in Calgary. So we'll see how this one plays out, but I think that's the empty netter, New Jersey, Philly, and the Rangers, and maybe even the Islanders, and hey, don't ever sleep on the Boston Bruins down the road. But, you've got to start factoring in. Does he want to take a little less to play somewhere where he wants to be? Does he want to re-sign in Calgary and get more? Does he want... there's a lot of variables, and that's probably why we're here still talking about it at the end of August this year. God bless you for talking about it, because I know you talk about it, I'm sure, every single day in that market. Jeff Kabilis in Winnipeg says, Flames goaltending a worry? I would hope not.
You got the number one free agent in Jacob Markstrom going into last year, but I would like to know your take on if he lived up to his deal. Ryan, how did you feel he played last season?
Well, his deal is long-term. His first season was a real mix of, whoa, this looks good. Is this the best goaltender early on in the North Division, to an injury that took him right out of it? He never really bounced back into the goaltender that I think everybody saw the season prior, at least the postseason prior. This is a goaltender who, Rod, if you ask anybody in the National Hockey League who's either been around him, played with him, or knows anything about him, fiercely competitive, fierce presence in the locker room and on the ice. The guys love playing in front of him. That's one area I'm not concerned about at this point heading into the season. And I'm quite certain when he returns here, you're going to see a bounce back from that goaltender. So that's a valid question that I think a lot of people are like, oh, wait a minute, what did we just sign up for long term? That's not a concern of mine at this point. Yeah,
me either. But it is a lot of money. But I don't even think he could have been the best goalie in the NHL, and I don't think he would have got the Flames into the playoffs. You know what, too? You know what, Roddy? Like, if they didn't go that route, there'd be the critics, again, throwing darts. Where are the Kari Ramos? Where are the Jonas Hillers? Where are the 1 and 2 years? Where are the Mike Smiths? All of these situations where they haven't been stable long-term since, dare I say, Mika Kiprasov, and there's probably a couple other guys just off the top of my head since then who have had longer terms or come back for a long period of time after a contract or two. But this was a goaltender that I think for the most part people were genuinely excited about. And I think there's enough time to prove it. So it doesn't matter what they say or do, unless you win the Stanley Cup, there's going to be arrows, slung. And I get that. But I just think that there's bigger concerns with the Flames than goaltending. And, there was some concerns about bringing in a guy like Chris Tanev, who was an absolute warrior and played through all kinds of pain that hasn't even gone public yet. And so those two additions, I think, are going to prove to be real solid additions, not only last year, certainly for Tanev, but going forward. And I think that those are leadership guys, not necessarily, Tanev in the rah-rah vocal, but by example. And I think in Markstrom, you've got a little bit more of a vocal leader and two guys with presence. And most importantly, as you know, Rod, respect in the room. And that is really huge. And they do it on the ice so well. And I think those are two signings that Brad Treliving can sleep well at night after bringing them on board. Yeah, and by the way, you're right. Kiprasov was the last one. That's the last thing they need to be worrying about is goaltending right now. We got 60 seconds, Ryan. The viewers want to know how you think the Jack Eichel story will end. What do you think? That is the million-dollar question, because as you've probably beaten up to death on this show, there's so much risk. The ask is very high in return for a player like Jack Eichel, who you don't know. It's buyer beware. And he hasn't had the surgery yet. So how this thing plays out, I don't know. I think he will be dealt. But is this in the new year kind of thing? It might have to be. It's an ugly situation. It's one that there are a lot of balls in the air. It's one that has a lot of uncertainty. And I don't think anybody's happy about where it is today and where it might be in the next month or so, because until they get this surgery situation hammered out, is it going to be one Jack is happy with? Is it going to be one the Sabres are happy? What about the new team? How long do they have to wait to get him? And what are they going to have to give up? It's steep right now, Rod. It's really steep. And I can tell you, knowing what it is on the Calgary side of things, I wouldn't pay it. So it remains to be seen. Nice work. Hey, you're like Jerry Seinfeld. We're leaving them wanting more, Ryan, because there's a ton of questions that have come in, but we are out of time. If I may, you're looking fantastic, man. Looks like you've had a great summer. Enjoy the rest of it, and we'll see you in a month. Yeah, thanks. I know. I've seen the post. You look great, bud. Thank you, pal. Have a great show. Thanks for having me, as always. Thanks, man. The great Ryan Leslie from Sportsnet Flames from Calgary. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching the RP Show on YouTube. And don't forget, we're live daily on YouTube from noon to 2 Eastern. If you like what you see, hit subscribe. And if you like the program, check around for other segments of The Rod Pedersen Show here on YouTube.